Hi, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. This week, we're going to be focusing on Psalm 66 through Psalm 70, which we will hit on Saturday. Want to encourage you to read a psalm a day. Really take some time to think about it, to pray about it, asking the Lord what you can not only learn from it, but more importantly, what you can apply to your life from it. And hopefully, by tuning into these daily devotional videos, will help you give some insight, some thoughts, some things to ponder that maybe you hadn't considered to help you grow in your faith as well. Now, today we're going to be focusing on Psalm 66. If you haven't read it already, please do so sometime today and let the words just hit your heart. This is really a Psalm of David talking about the mighty deeds of God. He's reflecting on who God is and really challenging himself and the reader, the listener, to how good our God is so that we can be confident that God will remain faithful in the future. Think about this in verse 6, for example. David says, He turned the sea into dry land. They crossed through the river on foot. There we rejoiced in him. And this is a reflection of what happened in Exodus 14 and 15, the parting of the sea when they were able to walk through on dry ground. Really, they hit a wall. They hit where it looked like there was no opportunity. Enemy behind them, river in front of them. What are we going to do? And yet God made a way when there seemed to be no way. If you go next to verse 12 in chapter 66, it says, We went through fire and through water, yet you brought us out into a place of abundance. I want you to take a moment today and just think about your own life. Now, here he's reflecting on things in his and things that the generations before had experienced and was reminding himself of God's faithfulness through it. But what fire have you walked through? What deep waters have you swam through, figuratively speaking, where it seemed like there was no hope? It seemed like you were going to get hurt, that you were going to maybe even perish, that you wouldn't make it through. Maybe it was a sickness, a disease, an ailment in your body or in the body of a loved one. Maybe it was a financial struggle, a relationship struggle, something at work, something at home, something in the world. I don't know. But we've all gone through fire. We've all gone through difficult times where we got hurt, difficult times where we felt like there was no way out. And yet, could we, like David here, reflect on how God brought us through? Maybe God did a miracle and he made a way when there seemed to be no way. He did something so miraculous that you hadn't even considered it possible. Or maybe he simply gave you peace, strength, fortitude, perseverance, grace, mercy, comfort to walk through those difficult times. Maybe you saw him begin to change your heart and your perspective, or maybe he gave relief. What did he do? And how could that encourage you today? Because I also recognize that there are probably some of us watching today that you're like, actually in a fire right now, right? Actually, I feel the floodwaters surrounding me and I can't hold my breath any longer. How can we be encouraged that God is still faithful? Has he failed? Is he going to forget about you this time? Does he have other plans or other things to attend to that you're no longer important or valuable to him? No. The word of God is clear that you are cherished, that you are loved, that you are on his mind, that you don't have to get his attention, you have his attention. And so what is God doing in and through the circumstance that you might find yourself in right now? I know when you're in the middle, this isn't what you want to hear, but he might be wanting to teach you something. Oftentimes we don't recognize the lessons until it's over. And it's like an added bonus that not only did we survive, but we're also like, wow, look what God taught me. Look how he taught me to trust him. Look how he taught me to let go of that sin. Look how he taught me to let go of that bad intention that I had, maybe wanting retaliation or revenge or whatever. Look how he freed me from that. I want to conclude today by going to verse 18. This is powerful. It says, if I regard sin and baseness in my heart, that is, if I know it is there and do nothing about it, the Lord will not hear me. David is reminding us and challenging us that in our fear, in our worry, in our struggle, we can't continue just sinning. And many of us, that's where we go because it's comfort. It brings a false sense of peace and hope when we feel like we're taking things by the reins. Maybe it's coping. Maybe it's trying to get what we want. Maybe it's trying to change circumstances in our favor. And really what sin is, it's a lack of trust in God. It's a lack of reverence to God and recognizing his power and authority. And so I do want to challenge you today, lots of things to consider. One, can you find your hope in the Lord no matter what storms or fires you find yourself in? But two, if you're aware of sin in your life and you do nothing about it, it limits your ability to trust in the Lord fully, in his might and his power. And so take it off. Leave it. Discard it. As soon as we know that there's a sin in our life, we should run from it, the Word of God says, flee. And so I challenge you, if there's sin in your life, then maybe you've allowed to be a coping mechanism, or you've allowed to just silence the noise of fear and doubt in your life by giving in to other things, or maybe it's been listening to the wrong people or looking to your own strength. Would you be willing to reveal that to the Father as he's revealing it to your heart, and to let go of those things so you can walk in freedom as you trust God in his faithfulness and his goodness, no matter what circumstance you face? Things to think about and things to pray about today as you read Psalm 66. Hey, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.